Well, welcome everybody. I am super excited that you are spending another lovely Wednesday with me on my live show. My name is Mary Hyatt, and for those of you who don't know me, maybe this is your first time joining in, maybe somebody shared this video with you, or you happen to get on this page, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is such an awesome community of women who are really learning how to wake up, to find their voice, and to become fully alive. I am a life coach, I'm an entrepreneur, and I am a presidential diamond with doTERRA essential oils. And my passion is really helping women connect to their bodies, figuring out how to find their voice, to strengthen their voice, and to begin to live a life that they really ultimately love, and to exist in a body that they have found peace with. I'm in the process right now of creating an amazing online course that's going to come out this summer. So please stay tuned for all that information. You will be able to check it out through all of my social media channels. But it's one of those courses that I think is going to be revolutionary for women, and it's really going to help us to make peace with the mirror and to really silence that body bully. So without further ado, let's start the show. Alrighty. Okay, let me get back to there. Okay, so guys, oh my gosh, today has been years, I feel like, in the making of preparation to talk about this subject of really reconnecting with movement. And I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, when I was at the point where I found myself just absolutely miserable, when I was in a lot of pain, when I was 80 pounds heavier than I am now. And let me just state too that there's nothing wrong with weight in general, with being a certain weight. If you feel like you are a size 2 to a size 24, it doesn't matter. But I know for me and for my body, when I got to the place where I was just coping and I was just numbing and I was unable to process the emotions of life, and I would overeat. I would eat beyond my fullness level because I was basically emotionally eating for all the crazy stuff that I felt like was going on in my life. The only tool in my tool belt was to eat. And so for me, I mean, gosh, like 8 years ago, I got to the point where I was like, I am hurting. You know, I'm hurting in my body. And I remember my ex-husband at the time started to go on walks, and he was starting to kind of exercise, and he really wanted to start to take care of his body better. And I can remember that triggered me so much. I remember that when he would go on a walk and I would be at home in the mornings, I felt like a total failure, a total loser. I felt like now he's going to think I'm just fat, you know, now that I am going to basically be a lazy slob and that I don't care about my body. And there was something about this working out that I felt really resistant to. I didn't want to go into a gym because I was embarrassed by the state of my body. I felt a ton of body shame. And I honestly was kind of rebelling, I think, towards this whole exercise, you know, group of people who were just like happy all the time and had all this energy. And I was like, screw y'all. You don't know what it's like. You do not know what it's like. And I can remember that whole thing of like willpower as it relates to moving your body and as it relates to exercise. And people would say something like, well, if you would just get your shoes on, then then you're one step closer to being out the door, and then you get enough willpower to actually go to the gym. And I was like, I want to just stay in bed and I want to sleep. I'm exhausted. I am tired. I don't have energy for this. And I was really in a lot of rebellion, and the thought of moving my body just felt incredibly triggering to me. And I feel like I want to know too from you guys if this is something that you experience, whether you're working out or not. Is it a stressful experience for you? What are your triggers around this? So as I was thinking about today's topic, I was starting to think about the triggers that we all face as it surrounds moving our body. A lot of us practice what I like to call crash exercising. I don't know if this is like a term that's already used, but I'm going to just say that I made it up and I'll take credit for it. But crash exercising is basically only when you only exercise when you're dieting. Okay. And you guys know that I'm like super against diets and the diet mentality. And we've done a lot of videos around that. But for me, I saw this pattern that the only time that I exercised was when I was trying to lose weight. And so for me, it was a huge trigger because all of a sudden it was like, okay, exercise is stressful. I have to do this. I have to push beyond my limits. I have to make myself do this. I have to find the willpower. And that was really intense. Toby, you said, yeah, when others are working out and you have the guilt of feeling like you aren't participating. I felt like that for sure. A trigger for me was I felt like I didn't measure up. I felt like, if I go into a gym right now, no matter what body I'm in, if I go to a gym, people are going to judge me. People are going to shame me. I'm going to feel embarrassed in my body. And then another trigger is sometimes when we grow up as kids, our parents will make us work out, for example. And we have a rebellion towards that. It's like making us do sports when we didn't want to do that sport. Or maybe you were in a situation where your significant other, maybe at one point in your life, it made you work out and it was just a negative experience, but you didn't feel like you could say no. So now there's this rebellion of like, I'm not going to do that. Maybe a trigger for you is feeling like you have a lack of coordination. Maybe you don't have the right equipment. Maybe you feel like, you can't get into a gym and you might not know how the heck to use anything. And so it's intimidating. And here's a big one. I think that for a lot of us, we feel too tired. We are completely run down. We feel like we don't have enough time. And ultimately, I think the biggest trigger that we deal with when it comes to working out or moving our bodies is the fact that we think it's a should. And so it's always a sort of nagging thing in the back of our mind, like, well, we should work out, we should do this, we should do this. And so every time we don't get to the gym, every morning, which this can perpetuate for years and years and years, all of a sudden, it's another reason or more proof that we are failing in our life. And ultimately that we're not living up to the ideal that is quote unquote the acceptable body shape or acceptable appearance that's going to earn us love. So there's a lot of weight, literally and figuratively, around this idea of moving our bodies and exercise. And so I'm curious for you guys, and hello, Nicholas. I'm curious from you guys what you feel like your trigger is when it comes to currently working out, if you have a workout regimen already, or if it's just you don't want to work out. What's the trigger? So I kind of listed a few of mine. What is it for you? I'm so curious. I want to know. What are those barriers? What are the barriers for you? And I can remember, so how I kind of got out of this, just a little story time with Mayor Bear. How I got out of this was, I can remember, so I was 240 pounds. I was the most miserable that I had ever been. My body physically was in so much pain. I was on a ton of pain medication. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was at a state of just not being happy, not being fulfilled. And the last thing that I wanted to do was work out. I had pretty much been like, screw you, F you to working out. But a friend of mine invited me to go to a yoga class. And that was super intimidating because the picture in my head of yoga bodies were perfect. They were perfect bodies. They were lean. They were flexible, which was the opposite of me. I mean, to bend over, I was going to suffocate myself with my boobs. Like, I was not in the place to, bend like a pretzel. And that was my take on yoga. But I felt like I was at the point where I was pretty desperate. And I think I was really wanting some connection with some people. And the friend that invited me was really loving and really accepting and was a really beautiful person. And I trusted her. So I went into this yoga class and I was met with just a beautiful experience. The whole entire yoga class, we closed our eyes. And y'all, that was one of the most healing experiences for me. because I walked in expecting to experience a lot of body shame and, for me, body comparison. But when we sat down on the mat, our instructor had us close our eyes. And that actually led me to become a yoga instructor. And I wanted, at the time, to become a yoga instructor for every single body type, because I wanted to prove that no matter if you are plus size, if you are the current size of the industry, whatever, that my class was going to be a place where I celebrated every body type, that there was a welcome to body diversity, and that yoga really truly was for every body. And that was a really beautiful healing process. And so I knew that intellectually, but what I didn't know that was happening at the time was that yoga, the stretching, the holding the poses, the breathing, was actually accessing a huge reservoir of buried emotions that I had. And what's interesting about the body is that the body stores emotions. So when we aren't cognitively processing our emotions and we're stuffing them, what happens is it sets into different parts of our fascial tissue and to our body. And the only way to access those buried emotions is through movement. And I've been reading this book called The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And it's all about trauma and how trauma is stored in the body. And y'all, it'll like freaking blow your mind. And I didn't know any of this at the time when I was going through this process. I was intuitively experiencing this for myself. But what I realized is whether I was in yoga, whether I was actually working out in the gym, and this still happens to me today, you guys, I pretty much cry in like every single workout. And what I didn't realize at the time was that by just simply moving my body, I was accessing that buried emotion and bringing it to a space where I could release it finally. And that's why, moving our bodies is so valuable. It's not about burning off calories. It's not about losing weight. It's not about even just, staying in shape. It really, to me, the one of the biggest benefits is it's able to process a lot of those buried emotions. And ultimately, when we move, it allows us to thrive. I mean, so much of our life is just sedentary. So much of our life, we're just sitting. I've been counting my steps just to see how much am I actually moving without a place of judgment, just curiosity. And I mean, most days I'm walking less than 1,000 steps, and I think they say the average that's great is 10,000 steps. Now, I'm not judging that because I don't have a place where I'm this is good and this is bad and count calories or count steps or anything like that. It's just a tool for awareness. And what I realized is that for me, I needed to move more so that I could get into my body and to realize that the body speaks to us before our mind ever does. We have physical sensations that are happening inside of our body that if we aren't clued into what our body is saying, if we aren't clued into the body signals that we're getting, oftentimes we're super reactive in our mind. But the reality is our body tells us first. It's like that gut feeling when we have the tightness of our chest. Our body is speaking to us all the time, and through movement, we're able to increase that body awareness. We're able to increase our awareness of those body sensations. And so that throughout our normal life, we have more awareness of what our body is telling us. And so if we want to live fully alive, we have to anchor ourselves into our bodies, because ultimately we are a mind, we are a spirit, but we are also a body. And in order to live fully alive, all cylinders firing, everything going on, we have to anchor into the body. That is how we experience life. It is through our bodies. And most people are shut off from their bodies. Most people are totally numb in their bodies. We don't know what's happening. And people have a very challenging time explaining their body sensations, or what does anger feel like in the body, or what does anxiety feel like in the body, or what does sadness feel like in the body, or where is the pain? Can you pinpoint where you're experiencing that physical pain? it's hard. We've spent a lot of time numbing. And so I want to share this quote with you that I think is really, really beautiful. It's from a dear individual, Tara Brock, who has an incredible podcast. And she said, sensations in the body are ground zero, the place where we directly experience the entire play of life. I mean, how beautiful is that? It's ground zero. Our bodies are ground zero. And unfortunately, and this is why I'm creating my entire course all centered around the body, unfortunately, we are often so disconnected from our body. We've numbed it to such an extent that we have almost looked at exercise or movement as this like compartmentalized thing that we have to do, that we should do to be healthy. And there's no joy, there's no experience, there's no fun, there's no pleasure in it anymore. And it's a should, it's on a checklist, and we feel like a complete, huge failure if we're not doing that, which I hate. I hate that. I hate that for everybody, and I want to help people experience that. But getting into our bodies and understanding what it's actually processing before our mind, because oftentimes we're cognitively avoiding things that are happening and we shove it into our bodies. And the only way to experience life and to have that healing is to get into the body. So this is a quote from Bessel van der Kolk. That name, y'all. I'm always like, how do I say this? But this is from a book called The Body Keeps Score. But he says, we do not truly know ourselves unless we can feel and interpret the physical sensations. We need to register and act on these sensations to navigate safely through life. While numbing may make life tolerable, the price you pay is that you lose awareness of what is going on inside your body. And with that, the sense of being fully, sensually alive. This is the result of numbing, which keeps people from anticipating, from responding to what is happening in our lives. And so we're short selling ourselves the full experience of life when we're numbing and disconnected from the body. So I want to share with you guys what I really believe are the 3 ways to reconnect to moving your body in a way that allows you to experience life fully and in a way that isn't going to trigger you, which I think is the biggest piece. Because whether you feel like you are in the body that you love or perhaps you hate your body, you're going to have issues around moving it, okay? And I want to get us to the point where it's not a trigger anymore, that we can move freely. I can remember that growing up in a pretty conservative Christian household, we didn't move our bodies. We didn't dance. In church, I went to a conservative church, and we didn't, raise our hands in worship or anything like that. And so I can remember anytime I had to dance, like if I was in college or at a party and had to dance, it felt so awkward, y'all. And to this day, I have to have a few drinks before I really want to dance. I never learned how to be inside of my body. Even in yoga, like closing my eyes and moving my body, there's still anxiety around it. There's still fear that I'm going to be judged, that being in my body is somehow evil or wrong. And so I have a lot of triggers around that. And I remember looking at people who could move freely, and I was just like so jealous of them. I'm like, God, I wish I could dance. I wish I could move my body and move my hips. And there's so much pent up energy and emotion in the sacral area and the hips and the hip flexors, that if you can't move that, if you feel self-conscious and awkward, you've got a lot of stuff stored up there. And so when I started to move my pelvis during yoga or whatever, it was like, just cry me a river, literally. It unlocked so much for me. And that's the gift of the body. You can move it and you can release that shit out of your body. It's so powerful. But let's look at the first way that we really want to reconnect with our bodies. And this is understanding your motivation as it relates to working out or to moving your body or to exercise. What do you guys think the purpose is? So when you think about working out, and y'all, thank you for your hearts and thank you for your likes and thank you for your comments. I'm loving seeing what you guys are saying about this. Jillian, you said that you just got that book. Oh my gosh, The Body Keeps Score. Get ready. It's going to be so good. But when you look at your motivation, there are going to be a lot of sticking points here that will make it really miserable depending on what your motivation for doing it is. And so I want to kind of like cut the tie to the unhealthy motivation when we look at our bodies, because it creates a lot of rebellion if that motivation is coming from a place of, what do you think? Number one, losing weight. Guys, is your motivation to lose weight through exercise? Is that the only reason that you're doing it? Are you only exercising when you're dieting? Is it to punish yourself for what you ate? Oh my God, I had a piece of cake last night. I got to get up and run tomorrow. Oh my gosh, I had 2 slices of pizza, 4 slices of pizza, 5 slices of pizza. I got to go work out at the gym tomorrow. Is it a punishment for something that you ate? Is it to be sexier? Is it to have a different kind of body so that you're more appealing to somebody else, to your spouse, to potential partners, to the general public, whatever it is? Is it to be sexier? Is it to feel better getting in a bathing suit this summer? Is that part of your motivation? Because if it is one of those different types of things, you are going to rebel. Because at our core, y'all, we just want to be loved and accepted for who we are. And it sucks to have to feel like the only reason you're moving your body is because you don't feel lovable, and you've got to fix it in order to be lovable on some level, which I just freaking hate. I mean, that to me is prison. It takes all the joy out of it. It robs you of all of that pleasure that you experience from moving your body, and it makes it a chore. It makes it something you have to do, something that you should do. And ultimately, all of those reasons, your motivation, if they're one of those, is diet mentality thinking. And I know that we have talked a lot about this, and we're going to continue talking a lot about it because it's so pervasive and so rampant. But if you do not enjoy moving your body when you're moving it, you're in it for the wrong reasons. I'm going to say that again. If you do not enjoy moving your body when you're moving it, you're in it for the wrong reasons. The point is to thrive. The point is to anchor into your body and to connect and to allow those emotions to process. The point is connection, partnering with your body. So if you're stuck in feeling guilty for not working out and that's your motivation, if you work out and you go crazy and then you stop after your diet and then you go crazy and then you stop, you're stuck in that diet mentality. Moving your body is something that I believe is a lifestyle. That's something that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. If you are in a state where you are thriving and you are balanced, you're able to move your body in a way that's not doing it out of punishment, not doing it out of a place of trying to fix it, not doing it out of a place of trying to become more lovable. So what is your motivation? In order to reconnect with your body, you have to understand what is your motivation, guys. And tell me if this is resonating with you. Nick, you said that guilt does not equal motivation. Can I get an amen, y'all? And Nick, thank you for being on this. I just love it. Nick is one of my dearest friends, and it's so fun to hear from a male perspective too. But yeah, guilt does not equal motivation ever. It's never going to. So let's talk about the second way to reconnect, and this is to identify your preference. I love this one. How often is it that we slow down and we ask ourselves, if there were no judgment, if there were no shoulds, if there were no looking at other people and comparing ourselves, what would we want to do to move how would we want to move our bodies? What would we want to do? What would bring us pleasure? What would be fun? And I think that that's a big pause moment, I think, in your life when you're reconnecting to your body. What is your preference? So here's the big question is, do you enjoy moving your body alone or perhaps in a community? I know for me, I love doing it with people. I love going on walks with people. I love going on hikes with people. I love going to a gym and working out with my trainer. I like community. That's really important for me. Okay, here's another question. When you're looking at your preference, do you like to work out or to move your body indoors or outdoors for you? What is your preference? For me, I like a little bit of both. Ideally, if this were Southern California and I had perfect weather, I would do it outside every day. Like, I love being outside. I love feeling the breeze. I love looking at the trees, and my mom taught me from an early age to notice like the moss on the trees and all the animals. I really enjoy being outdoors, but I was triggered early on that it doesn't count unless you're in a gym. It doesn't count unless you are sprinting on the treadmill, but walking outside doesn't count. Well, we're going to stay away from that way of thinking and say, what is it that you want? What is ultimately your preference? Okay. So when you're thinking about this, what do you want? How would you work out? If you could come up with 3 ways to move your body that felt amazing for you, that actually created excitement, that actually created anticipation, that allowed you to be at a place where you knew it was going to create joy, it was going to be like a self-care moment where you could give back to yourself, what would that be? I did this exercise years ago because I thought the only thing that mattered or counted was getting in a gym. And y'all, I wasn't going to do that. I was not going to get in the gym. And so for me, it felt really hopeless. Well, then once I realized, oh my God, like hiking counts. Oh my God, yoga counts. Oh my gosh, walking counts. Oh my gosh, swimming counts. Oh my gosh, riding a horse counts. All of the ways of moving your body actually count. So make it fun. Diversify your activity and making sure that you aren't falling into some of the traps like if you don't sweat, it's not worth it. Or, you know, I'm not going to do it unless I'm going to really push myself or get out there for an hour. It's like, it counts if you get out there and walk for 10 minutes. And honestly, for me, that's where I had to start. I could not commit to going to the gym for an hour. I could not commit to a 30-minute walk. I needed to be gentle with myself and kind of reconnecting and start slow and to start small and to do it where I built enough trust with movement that it was like, okay, yeah, I enjoy this. Okay, yeah, I can do 10 minutes. That feels good to me. I can do this. And it was little by little by little that I sort of built the ability to go, okay, I actually enjoy being out for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is. But I had to start small and I had to start slow and I had to start with things that I actually enjoyed. So what is your preference? That is the second way to reconnect with moving your body, because the goal is to connect to your body. That is the first step. Okay, so one of the questions that I love to ask people, and I work with this a lot with my coaching clients, I'll say to them, if you did it simply for the love of moving, what would feel amazing for your body? So think about that. If you guys would answer that. Megan, you said HIIT, yoga, walking. Susan, you said walking, yoga, dance. Jamie, you said hiking, kayaking, walking. I also love my alone time workouts at home. So if you did it simply for the love of movement, just moving your body because it felt good, not because you had to, not because you had to lose weight or burn off calories or any of that other shit. If you just did it because you loved it, what would feel amazing? I love that question. I just feel like it really opens it up. Okay, Megan, you said swimming. Yes. Tina, you said walking outside. This brings our body back into balance. When you are intuitively moving your body, weight isn't an issue. You don't have to focus on losing weight. You don't have to focus on burning calories. Your body knows what it needs. So if you can listen to it and say, body, how do you want to move today? And today that may be walking 10 minutes. Tomorrow that may be stretching. The next day that may be, going out and, punching, a bag. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment here. So what is it that you really love? A lot of you guys are saying swimming. I love that. Hiking. So beautiful. Okay, let's take a look at our third and final way to help reconnect to your body. And this is to take time to reflect. This is where you have to experiment, and to assess. So for me, for example, I love, y'all, and this is so part of my personality. I love to box. I love to get in there and my trainer will wrap up my hands and I feel like such a badass, and I just love punching things, because I'm somebody who is incredibly positive and loving and all that, but sometimes you got to get that out, you got to get that anger out. And so for me, that's something that I absolutely love. Now, let me tell you something that I hate. Guys, I'm sorry if this is you and you love this, but I hate biking. I feel awkward. I feel like the idea of biking for miles and miles and miles just sounds like misery. So for me, I have experimented a little bit with biking and I hate it, and that's okay. I have to assess that, you know what, this is not my jam. I don't love it. So I love to box. I love yoga. I love to hike, but I hate hot yoga. Oh my God, do I hate it. I hate sweating. I sweat already. And so why would I want to sweat more? I know people that swear by hot yoga and absolutely love it. So it's really experimenting with these ideas, experimenting with some of these different things, and then assessing along the way. So the first question that you're going to ask yourself is, how does it feel in the moment? So when you are working out in this new way to find pleasure, to find enjoyment, to reconnect with your body, how does it feel in the moment? Does it give you energy? So this is where you kind of have to like create a mindfulness practice in the middle of this experience. How does it feel when you're in it? Does it give you energy? Or does it stress you out? Does it emotionally release things for you? Like for me, every time I do yoga, I feel like 100 pounds just fell off my body when I leave the yoga mat. It's so powerful for me. And I know that feels that way, and that's why I'm drawn to it. That's why I love it. That's why I get up and I go. Because for me, it's healing. It's like the healing work. Yes, I'm moving my body, but it is healing. Like, it is powerful. So really getting clear on how does it actually feel in the moment. And then the second piece to this, and this is a great assessment, how do you feel afterwards? How do you feel afterwards? Is it where, like, I've done workouts before where I will leave and I have to basically shower and then go back to bed. Like, it was too strenuous. It was too exhausting for the way that my body likes to move. It was too much. And I'm all for, like, you know, pushing yourself sometimes, but there's a point where that becomes really unhealthy and that over-exercising. So checking in, how's your energy afterwards? Or do you feel like you have all this energy in the world, like you could go do a million different things? How's your mood? Do you feel cranky? Did it unearth some stuff? Do you feel relaxed? How is your mood? And then kind of what's your stress level afterwards? Did it relieve some stress? Did it create some stress? And this is just a really powerful way of assessing sort of what the body is doing in the moment. And so that's really the third way to reconnect to that movement, is to get to the point where you take time to reflect. Because this isn't about anybody else. This isn't about what you read in a magazine. Again, this isn't about losing weight. This isn't about what you should do. This is about loving your body enough that you ask it what it wants and you honor what it tells you. And there are days, like this morning, like I said, that I woke up and I felt like I was either getting sick or I was having an allergy attack, and I was meant to work out with my trainer this morning. And I texted him, I was like, I'm not feeling well. Like, I can't come in. And I had to take time to rest and to honor my body. And there are some times where, like yesterday, I was in the gym and my body was like, let's do this. Like, let's go. Let's move our body. And so I had to honor that and show up for that. And so this isn't about do's or don'ts or shoulds or should nots. This is about checking in from a place of mindfulness and from a place of love and asking yourself, how do I want to actually move my body? Because exercise should rejuvenate you rather than exhaust or deplete you. It should enhance that mind-body connection. It should really begin to alleviate stress rather than amplify stress. And ultimately, this is like where I'm all about this last piece, is it should provide genuine enjoyment and pleasure. Y'all, you guys know I'm all into pleasure and feeling great and feeling amazing. And that's what exercise should do. Movement. If you can take a word, like even for me, the word exercise is a little triggering to me, honestly, if I'm being honest. So for me, it's like movement. Like, how do I want to move my body? And movement feels like a hell of a lot better than exercise. It's like a very different energy. So we're moving away from that diet mentality. I have to do this. I have to lose weight. I have to pay for what I've eaten, et cetera, to lovingly connecting with your body and intuitively really listening. If you guys like are on this train with me, give me some love, give me some hearts, give me some likes, say something in the comments so I know that you're with me. Because the entire purpose is to intuitively listen to your body. it's another beautiful way of partnering with your body. And ultimately, there are going to be times when you need to rest. There are going to be times when you need to walk, to run, to strength train, whatever. But again, this is a lifelong journey. It's not a crash dieting, crash exercising regimen where you push yourself and you go crazy and you burn yourself out. This is like the gentleness over time, and your body regulates itself. That's what intuitive eating does, and that's what intuitive moving does. It regulates your body, and you come back to your ideal weight. You come back to that set point for your body where you feel like you can thrive and you feel healthy. And it's not about being this size or that size or comparing yourself. It's about, what does my body need? And how does it feel good to actually move it? Like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes like if I just like stretch, oh, it just popped my back. I'm like, oh my God, that feels really good. Like, it's not because I have to stretch. Like, that feels good. Like, just do that for a second. You know, move your body, because there's so much energy, so much emotion that gets trapped in our bodies that we have to move it. And I always do this. Like, I'm like, get it out of your body. Release that shit. And the only way you can do that, especially with trauma or buried emotions, is through the movement of your body. So above all else, we're looking at releasing the comparison. We're looking at releasing that body shame, the shoulds, all of that stuff. And the biggest question that I keep coming back to is, am I doing this for love? Am I working out to earn love, to be sexier, to have a better body so that somebody pays attention to me, that I'm noticeable, that people are jealous of my body, whatever it is? Am I doing this for love, i.e. to earn love, or am I moving my body out of love? Do I love myself so much that I know that what my body needs is to move? If nobody put qualifiers on it, and we didn't have all this weird stigma as it relates to moving our bodies, if we didn't have all the media telling us, you know, you can get abs in, 2 weeks, or get this better Brazilian butt, or whatever it is, or men show their strength through their muscles. If we didn't have all of this propaganda going on from the fitness industry and the diet culture, if you could just zero in and connect back to your body, how would you want to move it? Like, organically, shutting out all those voices. Like, if none of that were there, think about that for a second. If there were no other voices inside of your head telling you how you should move your body, why you should move your body, the benefits of it, the consequences if you don't. If people weren't yelling in your ear, how would you actually want to move your body and reconnect back to your body from a place of love, from a place of knowing that that's an element to thriving, and ultimately that we are physical bodies, and the way we experience this world is not through our eyes only. It's not through our mind only. It's from moving our bodies, from touching, from smelling, from dancing. You think about all the cultures in the world, how do they connect with people? It's through movement. It's through dance. How do people heal? I've done a lot of work with shamans in Peru and Native American cultures and African cultures. How do they bring about healing for the entire tribe? Music and dance. And there's a reason that dance is so vital and so important. It's not just because it's fun, it's because it's actually healing the body and it connects people. So when you're really coming down to it, you've got to ask yourself these 3 ways. What's your motivation? Checking in on your motivation and seeing if there needs to be some updating there and some shifting. Looking at, what's my preference? Ultimately, what is my preference? And then the last way to reconnect is you got to take time to reflect, to experiment, and to assess where you are. And guys, it's a journey. It has taken me many years of this, of finally getting to the place where I am comfortable in my skin and can move. I took dance lessons last year because I felt so freaking awkward in my body. I'm always looking at ways to reconnect to my body in a way that feels fun, enjoyable, that brings me pleasure, and that isn't about having a better body so that I'm more lovable. And so hopefully that is encouraging to you. Hopefully you've thought about exercise and moving your body in a new way that's maybe a little bit less triggering. And thank you for for being here and for experiencing this with me. And y'all, I gotta say, if you love this, please share this video with the people in your Facebook communities. Just hit the share button. Give me some love. Follow me on Instagram, Mary G. Hyatt. I am doing all kinds of little teasers, y'all, for this course about body love that I'm creating. And so you want to just check in with me there. It's just my favorite place to hang out. But as always, thank you for being on. I'm just super grateful that you spent your time with me on this wonderful Wednesday. And as always, the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I will see you guys next week. See you then. Bye.